Hello, it's Janki and welcome back to another video. And today we'll be talking about my top 5 all-time favorite historical fiction books. And before we begin, I have a small request for you all. If you like the videos I make, please do consider subscribing to my channel and liking the video. And yes, let us begin. So starting up with the most classics of historical fiction, and that is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. So this book has a unique take to it because it is narrated by death itself, and we follow this girl named Lizelle, and recently her father has died because he was a communist, and her mother, who also happens to be a communist, knows very well the dangers of being a communist in Nazi Germany, and so she decides to drop off Lizelle to a foster home. This book first of all follows Lizelle's story with her foster family. It has an amazing father-daughter relationship, amazing found family trope, and our main character, with all the tumultuous times going on, finds solace in books. But things do turn upside down when she gets to know that her foster family is hiding a Jew in the basement, and how she forms this connection with this person. For anyone who's wanting to pick up World War II historical fiction, you could always begin with this book. It's such a basic read, and it also has some really thought-provoking and important sweet moments in this book, and I highly recommend it. Moving on to another book, and do we even have to guess? We have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. So I don't even feel the need to describe this book, because whenever I think about this book, I'm far off into the past, thinking about these characters as real characters. They are so well written. And so, just to brief you about this book also is set during the World War II. We follow these two sets of sisters. So a quick correction here, we don't follow two sets of sisters, we follow only two sisters. Thank you. One is Vianne and another is Isabel. So Isabel is this younger sister who's rebellious, who wants to contribute to the French resistance. And on the other hand, we have Vianne, who's just completely opposite. She has this loving family with a loving husband and a daughter, and she wants nothing more but to protect her family. And when one day her husband is called off to join the army, she just can't imagine her life without her husband. And then begins the two epic stories of these two epic sisters, of their own unique, dangerous survival during this World War. And this book explores the most intimate part of history that is often forgotten, and that is women's war, and how women fought just as equally as men did, but just in very different ways. And it's just a heartbreaking, sad, beautiful novel that should be read by everyone. And this is just my all-time, this is the topmost book in my topmost list of all-time favorite books, and it deserves all the love and respect. Coming on to another book, we have another Kristen Hanna here, because really you can't talk about historical fiction without mentioning Kristen Hanna. And so again, we have another book by her, which is The Great Alone. And this is not radically different, but it's not set during world wars or any wartime period. It just follows this family drama. So in this book, our main character, Leni, her father has recently returned from the Vietnamese War and is not as he was before the war began, and he's completely changed. He's more violent and more what should I say? I should basically say that the trauma from the war, he has not been able to cope up with it, and Lainey's mother. Lainey's mother is like unconditionally in love with her husband. She goes to different lengths to agree with him and like do whatever pleases him. But their relationship is gradually turning more abusive, and Lainey's father thinks that a change of scenery will be a good thing for the family, and they decide to move to Alaska, to a place which is not touched so much by the human civilization, and they think that that may help them to recover their family, and they go to Alaska. Alaska, like, it's described with such awe, beauty and wilderness in this book. Alaska, the setting of Alaska in this book is altogether another character of this book, and we see how this relationship between Lainey's father and mother progresses. Like, it really doesn't progress, it instead degrades, and how Lainey, her mother, they both fight together from the abusive things that are happening to them. This book should be read with the knowledge at your hand that it has many trigger warnings. It has a lot of physical abuse. I remember when I read it, I was shell shocked because it isn't something new to me. I'm not trying to degrade my country or as such, but it's quite common, mostly in the rural areas of India, for women there to experience such things. With the knowledge of that also, I was shell shocked as and when I was reading those acts of violence in this book. Rest assured, it's a great book, coming of age story of a main character, and that itself is also heartbreaking and heartwarming. So yes, that was the third book. Coming on to the next book, we have The Help by Catherine Stockett. Again, this one was an unexpected read for me because I never heard of this book before, but I bought it during thrift shopping and I really loved it. This book is set in Mississippi during the 1960s, and we follow these black maids who raise white children. So we have 3 point of views in this book, 3 amazing point of views. First is Evelyn, who is a black maid, and she's raising her 17th child, white child I mean. The second POV is of Minnie. Minnie is the most sassiest character I've read in historical fictions. We do have many in other kind of fictions, but in historical fiction, she's the most sassiest of characters. She's a great cook. Again, she's a black maid. And the third POV we have is of Miss Skeeter, who is a white woman who has recently come home from college and is now looking into the disappearance of the black maid she was raised by. All of these 3 women dare to take a step ahead of their boundaries, and they depend upon each other, they come to rely upon each other, and like their lives come to be connected in the most unexpected of the ways, and it's just so amazing to read about. Do pick it up. And last book I have for you all is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo has an altogether different vibe from the rest of the 4 books that I already mentioned. So at the beginning of this book, we get to know our main character, that is Evelyn Hugo, who is old right now, who is old in the present times, but was a stunningly talented artist, actress during her times. Now has decided to open up about her private life through the way of biography, and for writing a biography, she chooses a magazine reporter or journalist, I don't really recall, a not very famous or known journalist to write her biography. And this girl who's been hired for it is Monique, and Monique is has no clue why she has been chosen specifically, but as the story progresses we come to know about that as well. But as soon as the story begins, Evelyn Hugo begins telling her life. It's the most glamorous, the most scandalous, and the most beautiful life that could have been narrated in a book. And I'm not lying when I say the highlight of the whole book is Evelyn Hugo, the character herself. Like nothing compares to that character in that whole book. She, like, I know it's obviously her story, so she's gonna be the highlight, but like, it's a difference when I say that her whole life was glamorous, scandalous, filled with different things and all, but it's a whole different thing when I say the character of Evelyn Hugo, not when she became the actress, the famous actress. She has been the heroine of her life all the while, and it's just very good to read. And also comes the mystery, which is the title itself, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. She tells about all those husbands. Who was the ultimate love of her life? No one knows about it, but they all know that she had 7 husbands. And yes, the story is just marvelous. So with that, we finish off with all my favorite historical fiction books. So these 5 books for now, like at least for now, I feel are unrivaled, topmost books, historical fictions I've read. And let us see which book can change either of their positions. And yes, thank you all for watching. That was all for the video. If you liked my video, don't forget to support my channel. And with that, I'll bid my goodbye and meet you next time.